Hey everybody, don't forget to check out MyBookie Sportsbook and Casino, America's most trusted sportsbook in 2019. You can look at betting lines and place bets in bare knuckle and MMA. Don't forget to use our referral code down below for a 50% sign-up bonus. That's MyBookie Sportsbook and Casino.
I'm not. I'm having a day off.
Hey guys, what's going on? We got Reggie Pena, we got Jared Warren, we got Jason Knight, we got Jeff Houston coming on the stream. All that and more in about 20 seconds. Boom, welcome back to the show, guys. Combat Insiders Live. We had a crazy week last week. We were in Tampa, Florida for BKFC number 8, Bigfoot Silva versus Gabriel Gonzaga. Awesome card, awesome show. The entire card was just from top to bottom. We've said it 1,000 times. It was just absolutely the best card I think we've seen. In all fairness to the other cards, I think it was just the best, just the way everything happened, just the way everything kind of unfolded. Saturday night. It was just an awesome card. I'll tell you what, we got Reggie Pena, we got Jared Warren, we got Jason Knight. He's going to talk about his upcoming rematch with Artem Lobov, the GOAT, just in a few weeks, right? Because that's coming up on was it November
16th?
November 16th. You know, it's not that far away. So he's going to talk about that. He was also at the show in Tampa, so hopefully we'll kind of get his thoughts and pick his brain a little bit on some of the card and see kind of what he thought about some of the stuff. But man, I'm excited for the show tonight. We're also going to do a breakdown of the card with Jeff Houston too, the Mr. Live Worldwide. He will be on. He's going to help us kind of break down the card a little bit. Nick,
yo,
what's up, brother? It's been a long time.
Yeah, a real long time. We're good. I'm ready for this show. I'm doing a million things now, but I'm here now.
Yeah.
And that's it. I'm excited. Fighter scholarship. Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about that.
So obviously, you know, the card series kind of came out. I don't want to call it a card series. It was 5. Guys were kind enough to sign them and give us back some, and they kept the rest. So in an effort to give back to the community, we're going to do some type of raffle style something. We'll figure out the details.
We'll figure out
the details. But 100% of the funds will go towards a scholarship to help. I call it a scholarship, but it's really assistance, like with a fight camp. To keep it fair, we will figure out who we think needs it or whatever the case may be, and we'll let the people who watch decide who gets it. Maybe 1, maybe 2.
Yeah, I mean, we're still figuring out the logistics of it, but I think the important part of it is that, you know, we want to.
Excuse me for a half a second. I need a beverage.
Yeah, go for it. No, but no problem, man. No, what Nick's trying to say too is, you know, we just want to give back to the sport, man. We just want to support the sport so much. We love it. Just absolutely, man. We absolutely love it. And we've been thinking of ways to come up to where we can just do something, man. You know, just do something, whatever we can to help any of these guys out. Because they do so much, man. They go through so much. Camp isn't cheap, and they will, you know, they'll test to that. It's not cheap. It's not easy, and you know, whatever little small fraction that we can kind of input into it, man, we can just we're definitely happy to help with any of it. So
did I miss anything?
I know I'm just blabbing out the mouth. No, I'm just telling the people like how important it is. Like, you know, we just want to kind of give back to the sport. You know, whatever small amount we can do. You know, because
for sure.
You know, just combat sports in general, man. We just love it so much, and we just been trying to figure out ways to do something. You know, and like I said, we're still kind of working out the kinks. So we will, once we have all the details, exactly how we're going to do it, it'll all be laid out.
I have an idea, but I'm not sure yet.
We'll work on it. We'll
We
work
will
on
have
it.
to work on it. Yeah.
Also too, guys, and again, we've been pumping up combatinsiders.com. We did the new relaunch. A lot of you have already seen it. Some of you haven't. Go check it out. Completely, you might as well say it's a brand new site because it is. It's just completely different than the old one. It's just a brand new site. Knucklepedia, more importantly, Knucklepedia, man, go check it out. We've been covering the bare knuckle, as you know. Well, we have a bare knuckle only directory, the only directory of its kind that's solely dedicated to bare knuckle, the only one of its kind. So Knucklepedia, go check that out. It's almost like a site within a site. It's pretty cool. That's kind
And
of what
it's
I
all
thought.
updated now.
It's
Everything's
every
good.
everything is updated. Let's see here. We got some gas gift. Sheena Star says we should give out gas gift cards. I guess for the fighters. That's what Sheena says.
We could do that. I mean, the money, literally 100%. I mean, we'll keep everybody. Actually, anybody who follows it will know exactly how much money was brought in for it. So none of it's a secret. The hard part's going to be picking. I don't want to pick. We'll just let somebody else pick. Because it
Tom
was up
Show.
to me. If it was up to me, I'd give everybody. You know.
Shout out to Tom Shove too. He says Wu Tang, whatever that
Oh
means.
wow.
I don't know.
I got you, Tom. He's not about that life, bro.
I mean, I know who Wu Tang is. I just don't know what the comment in pertaining to what we're talking about. You
That's private conversation.
all right?
I
Fair
got you
enough.
though. I got you though.
Speaking of private conversation,
Hmm.
we got to talk about this. We were talking about it on the phone. I don't know if you guys heard Mr. Nate Diaz out of the fight with Masvidal. Now, Nick, I'm going to give you a second before you. Nick probably needs a second, but I tell you what. In all truth, man, I'm fucking bummed, and I think I speak for a lot of people. We're bummed. I think it's ironic of all the people that it's Nate. I I don't know. I
I'm
think
gonna have to. I got to
it's
see the other sample.
it's ironic
Yeah, I just can't believe it.
because if it was anybody else, and for those of you who don't know, this is first off, go check out combatinsiders.com. We got the news up. We had it up pretty fast. Nate Diaz is out of the fight with Jorge Masvidal at 244. Um, I think he put some stuff out on social media and was talking about. Um, I I don't know. Like I guess USADA sent him some shit and saying that he tested elevated levels of something. They didn't say exactly what just yet, or at least he hasn't released that information. And so he's telling people, "Fuck it, I'm not coming back until USADA's dirty." Blah blah blah. Now again, and I was talking to Nick about this. It's interesting because him saying this is bullshit, USADA's dirty. But how many people have we seen say the same thing? But you know, Nate's always been very outspoken. He's always been a clean fighter. So you know what? Like, I won't knock him for that. But like I said, I just find it ironic. Everybody else always says tainted supplements. It's not. This is false positive. Something's wrong. USADA's. Something's wrong with USADA. And Nate's like, no, motherfucker, you're on steroids. Like he just calls him out straight up. Like it ain't. You ain't on tainted nothing. You're just on steroids, right? And then of all the people, he gets popped. I just think it's quite
We'll have to see how it plays out. I'm not sold off the first test because he's historically been a clean fighter.
yes, yeah, for sure, and for sure he has.
If he got popped for weed, I get it.
I don't. If it was weed, I don't think because if you look at what he's saying here, if you look at what he's saying, I don't think he's talking about weed because he's bringing up supplements. He's talking about tainted supplements. So I'm thinking whatever is elevated, I don't think it's weed. Like I said, he's not too specific on exactly what's going on. He's just kind of
He was talking about, I see there, like Whole Foods and natural. I mean, I guess there's
yeah.
probably something that probably is natural or in food that in excess would raise. We'll just have to see. I hope not. I really do.
It's a shame. It's just a damn shame. I wonder what they're gonna do because I mean Masvidal is down. Obviously, I'm pretty sure Masvidal whoever they decide to put in there, he's not going to care. He's going to fight whoever the hell.
Yeah, but we want to see that fight.
Agreed.
I hope they can get a quick turnaround. They probably already did another sample or took multiple samples. And I mean, if they could turn around and fix it in a day, 2 days, hopefully he'll go back in. I don't know.
Why would he? The only part that boggles my mind is why would he prematurely withdraw like himself? Because technically, from the way I understand it, he didn't have to withdraw from the fight, but he did. That's the part that doesn't make sense to me.
I feel like it, again, for all he's had to say outspoken about steroids, that's a hard hit to take when they're accusing you, especially
Sure.
after everything you've said leading up.
Yeah.
My guess is within 24 hours we could come back on here and it'll be fixed.
You think it's? I don't know, man. I think if he's if he's already saying he's out of the fight 100%.
But he said until they get their shit together. You know why they'll get it together? Because this fight makes money.
It does, but what's the quickest? What's the quickest turnaround in terms of like USADA finding a problem and them fixing it?
If they really wanted to find the problem, they could probably find it tonight.
Yeah, but it's this. When is this fight? Is it this weekend? Next weekend? It's next weekend.
November 2nd. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking. So from today, you're talking 9 days. In 9 days, I've never seen some type of finding quicker than.
I'm not saying they will. I'm saying they're capable of. They're 100% capable of doing it if they wanted to. So who knows?
Interesting.
It will be.
I just hope. I hope it does get fixed. I hope it does because I think we all want to see that fight.
I have a feeling that if it does not get fixed, could you see McGregor stepping in because he's talking? I want the winner. I think he gets that smoke from Masvidal, though, bro. I don't know.
I don't want to see. I'll be honest with you. There's not a whole lot I want to see McGregor do. I don't know that I want to see McGregor step in and fight Masvidal his first fight in. That's not the right fight. Not at 170. Not Masvidal. I just don't think it's right. Because
somebody's going to have to step in and to put a lesser. I'm not knocking guys that step up at all. If you get the opportunity to do it, but I think to keep that fight card at that level that it was at before this, you're going to have to get a pretty big name in there, I think. But I don't. You know who would be good to step in? I wouldn't mind, but it can't happen. They're teammates. Poirier would be good. But they're teammates.
Yeah, I doubt. I wonder. Think. Whoa, hold on.
Colby,
hold on.
Covington.
No. Hold on. Who else comes to mind when you think of bad motherfucker? Who else comes to mind? He just had a fight about a month ago. He didn't sustain any injuries. He's naturally a 155-pound fighter, but I think he could probably cut to 170 easy, like outside of camp. Gaethje.
Oh, he could probably make 170.
That's what I'm saying.
He could probably do 70.
I wonder if that's a possibility because it's not like he would be too far out of fight camp because it's only been a month I don't even think it's been a month. When he fought Cerrone, and he didn't.
It was like 2 weeks. Wasn't it like 2 weeks ago?
No, it was longer than that because it was it's probably been 3 weeks to a month. It's not quite 2 weeks. Yeah, not quite 2 weeks. Guys, we're just kind of holding on Reggie Pena. We got Reggie Pena coming on at 8:15. Now 8:20 now, but hopefully we'll have him on any second. After that, we have Jared Warren. After that, we're going to have Jeff Houston, Mr. Live Worldwide, the ring announcer for BKFC, is going to be hopping on. We're going to kind of dissect some of the stuff from BKFC 8 and BKFC 9. Then after that, about 9:10 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to get Jason Knight on. So stay tuned for that. We're going to talk about the Artem Lobov rematch. And he was there in Tampa. So, maybe we'll get his thoughts on some of the fights and all that good stuff. So, all that good stuff. Right now, we're just kind of dissecting this whole Nate Diaz thing. I mean, chime in if you guys got a thought on this. We're kind of curious to hear people's thoughts on this. It's a terrible situation, but it's with as strong of a personality as Nate Diaz is, and for this to happen, it's just all. It's almost shocking. Maybe that's too strong of a word, but it's almost
not
shocking.
too strong of a word.
Like, it's shocking to me of all the people that it's Nate Diaz.
I still believe he's clean. I think there's a problem. He could be a lot of things, and a lot of people say whatever, and you can hate him, love him. But clean fighter is one thing he's always been. Same thing with his brother. There you go. The return of Nick Diaz at 170. Isn't he's off suspension now, right?
I don't know, man. You think Nick Diaz could come out of retirement like that and give Masvidal any type of challenge? Honestly,
I think on durability and endurance alone, it would be competitive.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
I really like Gaethje. I think Gaethje would be a good, and I bet you he'd be down to do it too. 9 days notice, he probably gives zero fucks.
I just see that. For me, I don't know why, and I just feel like that fight would go one way almost.
You think Masvidal will smoke him? Really?
I do. And it's not a dig on him. He's just Masvidal's got so much time in the game. He's on a hot streak. He's destroying people. Doesn't matter. Put him in front. He's flying knee, knocking people out in 3 seconds, and pop till and put him to sleep. Like, he's just, I don't know. He needs an extremely worthy adversary. If we're talking bad motherfucker, though, for durability and whatnot, Gaethje does fit the bill.
Right.
Without question. There's no, I just think I don't know. I think the skill sets, I think the skill sets don't match up as good as Nate and Masvidal. Not that Gaethje's not good. He's just a totally different style fighter.
Yeah.
But I think Nate and Masvidal are extremely close. What do we got?
Huh. Oh, hold on a second. No, just go ahead. Keep talking. No, I'm just looking at something.
Yeah, I don't know. I think their striking is similar, power similar. Nate's jiu-jitsu is better. Masvidal's wrestling is better.
Yeah.
So I really think they would just stand there like in a 1-by-1 square, and they're just going to get down until somebody falls.
All right, looks like we got Mr. Reggie Pena on tap here.
My man.
Mr. Reggie Pena, let's bring him in. Mr. Reggie Pena, what's going on, my friend?
What's going on, guys?
How you doing, man?
I'm okay, man. Just enjoying life. I got my girl right here.
There you go. Talk about it, man, because we were there live Saturday night in Tampa, saw the fight. There's a lot of animosity going in there with the fight with you and Lorenzo Hunt. A lot of animosity in the lead up, and just a lot of back and forth, kind of smack talk in like those interviews that you guys filmed early on. But let me ask you, man, like how did you feel? Because and this is self-admitted by Lorenzo Hunt, because we talked to him like right after the fight, and it kind of acknowledged what me and Nick had been talking about as we were watching it. It seemed like Lorenzo Hunt, he slowed down a whole lot, and it almost as if like you were starting to come back and get the better of him, and then of course they stopped the fight because of the hematoma or whatever the medical term is. Nick, that's your department. Did I say that right?
You sure did.
I guess tell us about your thoughts, man. Like, how are you feeling, like the day of the fight, like leading up into the fight, and then how did you think it was going during the fight?
I feel, you pretty much hit everything right on the head. I felt great going into the fight. Now, mind you, I haven't fought since 2017.
Yep.
So this was me coming as a fat ass. Okay, I was fat as all hell, and I started training for this fight. I got ripped up, got in fight shape in no time, and I was ready to bang. And I started a little slower than I wanted to, due to a number of factors. First, being out of the ring for so long, getting that adjustment period, getting my timing, trying to find my timing again, and got to give Lorenzo credit. He was fast as all shit. He was a fast guy. He was a powerful guy.
Yep.
And he, that first round, I was a little like, wow, okay, this is bare knuckle. Because you know what, man, none can prepare you for it. Until you feel that bare knuckle, you can't be prepared for it, and that shit hurts, man. Bare knuckle is the real deal. It's not MMA. It ain't boxing. It's bare knuckle, and that shit hurts. And I was like, okay, wow, welcome to bare knuckle. This is it.
Mm.
So I was, call a little, had to take a step back and compose myself, and I feel like I did just that. Like I weathered the storm early, and I battled through, and I fought tough that second round, and then I think that third round I dominated. I think a little more time I was going to put him away, and it's unfortunate that the commission had to come in, step in, and stop the fight because I had a lot going. I was hitting him, and I would literally feel the energy leaving his body and motivating me, like entering my body. Like I was getting off on just going to the body on him, and I would feel him. I'd hear him wheeze, and I would just like, wow, it would just wake me up and give me just more energy to push forward. And I thought I was going to stop him. I really did. And if not, it was going to be a close decision because I felt like I did enough that third round. I feel that the second round was close. So I mean, he definitely got the first round. And I mean, it would have been interesting to see. But as far as the animosity and all the talk going to the fight, that's all genuine. And I'll sit right here and tell you, Lorenzo Hunt's the biggest piece of shit I've ever been in my life, man. This guy's a scumbag. I mean, everything that he post fight, he tried to give me a little respect, and all that shit went out the window, man. He got on social media right away, started talking shit and posting his pictures and doing all, he likes to play up for his crowd. But when it's just me and him face to face, the guy wants to shake my hand, he wants to bow to me and act like we're all good. Like I'm a genuine person. I'm a real individual. What you see is what you get. I'll tell you if I don't like you to your face. I'll tell you if I love you to your face.
Right.
You're never going to be surprised by anything coming. You're going to know where you stand with me right away. And I can't say the same for Lorenzo Hunt. I can't wait to get my I don't know how much I can. I just can't wait to get my hands on this guy again. I hope that I get the opportunity to, but time will tell.
Well, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I from watching it from our point of view, it kind of looked like your plan was to weather the storm. I know you said you haven't fought in 2 years, but it kind of looked like you were like, I know he's going to come out fast, and nobody's denying he won the first round. The second round was close, and I had you immediately win in the third round. I think there was enough that happened in the lead up into that fight that the only thing to do is do it again.
It just makes sense.
It makes sense. I know we want to see it. I know the crowd was talking like this should happen again. Even on social media, we put out an article about it, and people were like, "Absolutely," because all right, he got the win, but the business isn't. It's unsettled still.
It's unsettled, and he's parading around like he won the Olympics or something. He's going on social media like he's Kurt Angle. Just this. I understand. He hasn't fought anyone. You look at his track record. He's fought a bunch of bums, and I'm probably the most accomplished guy he's ever beat. So sure, yeah, there you go. It's probably a historic moment for Lorenzo Hunt. But I just can't wait to get my hands on him again. And it has to be it's got to get settled one way or another. So.
The real question now is, now that you came back from retirement, do we see a different Reggie Pena if this fight happens 5 months from now, or now that you're back into that rhythm?
Yeah, absolutely. I expect my timing to get a lot better. I expect to be sharper, more alert, not to get so surprised, and I'm going to be in better shape. I mean, I felt like I was in pretty decent shape, but now this time around, I won't be cutting from being a fat ass on the couch. I'll be in somewhat good shape going into camp. So
Right.
as soon as I heal up here, I'm going right back to work. So it's I expect to be in great shape for whatever fight, if it's a Lorenzo Hunt or if it's someone else. But I expect to see a better version of myself next time I'm in there.
Let me ask you this, Reggie, because during the post fight interview where I was talking to Lorenzo, he kind of brought up the whole reason why this whole animosity started, and maybe you can clear the air.
Yeah.
He mentioned about that something to the extent of that he thought that maybe you and your side knew about the fight way before he did, and he thinks that you were responsible for that, for him not
Yeah.
knowing the information.
Yeah, he felt that I was being shady, or there was some under shady slide tactics. It was a conspiracy against Lorenzo Hunt, to kind of surprise him at the last minute, like, gotcha, you're fighting me. Oh, surprise, not the case whatsoever. This is the fight game, and as everyone knows, in a fight game, fights fall through all the time. Until I get a contract, I'm trying to see where the camera's picking me up. Is I'm like all over the place. But until I get a contract with an opponent's name in my hand and it's signed, I don't know who I'm fighting. Like there's been names thrown around. Like, I had, someone, we had talked about Chris Lieben. We talked about Lorenzo Hunt. Then there was some other guy who was in the UFC, Royce. I don't even know what the hell, some guy who was like 6'3" or something. So there's possible names. Now, like, I'm not going to sit here and say to anyone, hey, this is who I'm fighting. I got to fight. Because I don't have a contract. Nothing is signed. There's nothing in writing. I don't know what's going to fall through. I don't know if he agreed to terms. I don't know. There's a lot of stipulations that come into effect. So for me just to sit here and say, oh, yeah, that's who I'm fighting, here's the date. I can't announce shit until Bare Knuckle gives me that green light to go ahead and announce it. Like, yeah, there's a contract. Here you go. Feel free. That's just the way the fight game works. I didn't know for a fact that I was fighting Lorenzo Hunt. The day he made the post, he put some shitty post about me talking shit like, oh, people think it should be kept a secret and I'm fighting Reggie. No, there was nothing then. There was nothing set in stone then that I was fighting the guy. It was just been a rumor. He said there's someone from my camp. Let me tell you, so there was nobody from my camp that said shit to him. I know that he's I don't know if he's Facebook friends with that Viet Lee guy who's part of Dio Velasquez's team. That guy ain't my friend. He ain't on my team. That guy has nothing to fucking do with me. I don't even, like I wave and say hi and bye to that guy. That guy's not in my camp. So if that guy ran back to him trying to gas him up, that's between the two of them. That has nothing to do with me or my camp. So I took it personal. He started talking trash about me, and I had to let him know that, yeah, I'm fired up, man. I made a video. I said, hey, man, if you want to see me, you got it, because I'm down for it.
And I guess lastly, real quick, because we got Jared Warren on tap, but I guess just real quick, man, like how are you feeling? If you could tell us, like, how are you feeling, and when can we expect to see you back again? What's your timetable?
I can't say when I'll be back, because that's up to David Feldman and the powers that be. But I'm aggravated. I feel like I fought very hard. I trained hard. I prepared for the fight, and I feel that it was taken from me. I feel like I had a lot more left, and I wasn't able to show that. And I feel like it was taken from the fans. So, I'm very motivated, and I'm fired up, and I'm excited to get back in there. And, I want to shut Lorenzo Hunt up.
I want to say it.
Understood.
There's no question. No questions.
Well, we're looking forward to it, my man, and hopefully we'll hear an announcement from you for your next fight sooner than later. We're looking forward to it, and like I said, can't wait to see you again. Thank you so much for your time, man, and we'll catch up later.
I always appreciate you guys having me on, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Reggie.
Thank you, Reggie.
That's it.
Guys,
I need to see it again.
Yeah, I do too. I agree. Real quick, Jared has been patiently waiting. Just a few minutes here, and we're going to get him on. We're going to take a quick 20-minute break. I'm
20-second.
20 minutes. Did I really say 20 minutes? 20-second break. We'll be back in 20 seconds. We got to pay some advertising bills, and then we're going to come back with Jared Warren. Boom, here he is, Jared Warren. What's going on, buddy?
Not much. How you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, man. It's been a good day.
Good. Well, I guess real quick, let's just jump right into it, man. And by the way, thank you for patiently waiting. I saw you when you signed on, so we appreciate it.
Reggie's my boy. I don't mind waiting on him.
There you go.
He's a good dude.
But I guess let's talk about the fight, man. You and Brian Maxwell. We didn't get a chance to talk to you leading up to it, but I guess tell us how were you feeling leading up from your camp, and I guess your transition in the bare knuckle, the fight itself. How did that feel?
This was the best fight camp I've ever had. A big part of that is as far as going pro, I've never not cut weight before. So whenever my coach said, "Hey, we can get you a fight if you want to fight," I'm like, "Coach, I walk around at 195. I was like, I'll fight 195 or bigger." And once I started training for it, I cut weight to I was walking around at 188 the morning of the fight. I had breakfast, I had lunch, and then I went and weighed in. As you guys saw, I still had my jeans on, my shoes on, I had my phone and my keys in my pocket, but that's what I wanted, to go in a little, just not so much that weight was an issue. I just wanted to be able to eat and still enjoy life while I was training, you know what I mean? And when you're constantly hungry, especially when you're on shift, for anybody who doesn't know, I work 24-hour shifts at the fire department. And when you're doing that and you're hungry, your blood sugar is always low from cutting weight. It's a terrible, terrible thing. So
and fire departments cook real food for dinner.
We do. Yeah. It's not fun when all your buddies are eating, freaking meatloaf and mashed potatoes and you're staring at them with spinach leaves and fat-free ranch or something. But no, this time it was great. I ate everything and anything I wanted, and it really changed my whole aspect. That was the only thing I didn't enjoy about fighting. I took a hiatus from fighting for a while, but when I was fighting regularly, that was the only thing I didn't like was the dieting portion. So this time, didn't diet for a single day, and I felt great and I felt strong going into it.
So what on the fight, it was kind of cool. What were your thoughts on how the fight went? Because you got tagged once, you came back. I mean, you guys. I mean, for it being one round, you guys exchanged. It was a fan fight. You got after it. So what were your thoughts after the first punch lands? Now you're acclimated to the no glove.
Right. It was awesome, man. Nothing but respect for Brian. He was a good fighter, very competitive dude. Obviously I could tell he was in shape. He had quick hands. That one that dropped me, it didn't leave me with any dizziness, but it wasn't. A lot of my friends like, dude, did you slip? I'm like, no, he hit me, and I zigged when I should have zagged, and it put me on the floor, but I got right back up. Fortunately it didn't ring my bell or anything, but it was a perfectly timed shot, so that's hats off to him. But yeah, man, it was a good fight. We both went after it. I think that's what the president and the fans want to see. So I was happy with the way everything went. Even with getting knocked down, it made it a war. You know what I mean? We both wanted it. So
we got a viewer question here. It said Johnny Katina. I hope I'm saying that right. It says, will we see Jared Warren in the squared circle again? So they want. It's bare knuckle for you. Is this going to be?
Absolutely, man. I started all my amateur fights were kickboxing, and then when I turned pro, I transitioned to MMA, and that was mostly because the old saying was, you turn pro for kickboxing, you retire, because there's just not enough going on. So I started learning jiu-jitsu and all that stuff just so I could fight MMA. But truth be told, I didn't enjoy grappling. It wasn't fun to me. And fighting is supposed to be something you enjoy if you're going to do it. So that's why I kind of took a break from it. And then when bare knuckle came around, I'm like, this is awesome. It got me excited again, made me want to train and fight again. So, now that I got a taste for it, it's kind of hard to say no. So we'll see if President, Feldman wants me back and all that, and go from there.
I always ask people, when they have when they kind of transition to the bare knuckle, it's similar responses, but I'm always curious. So, what's the differences to you between getting hit with no glove and tag on question hitting with no glove? How does it feel to the knuckles?
It's well, the sport in general, very little room for error, as you can see when me and Brian, either one of us connected, every time you saw the other person felt it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, during the fight, I think most fighters will tell you don't really feel much pain necessarily. Like maybe a good body shot, you get the wind knocked out of you, you're gonna feel that. MMA, you get a good solid leg kick, you'll feel that. But usually shots in the face, you don't feel them. And same thing, I didn't feel anything on my fist necessarily different. It didn't hurt my hands or anything like that. And kind of going into it, I was like, oh yeah, there's a high chance people are going to break their hands in the sport. But fortunately, I didn't end up with any injuries or anything. So it felt good. But everybody's got quicker hands without the gloves, and you have a lot less to block with. You know what I mean? Your fist is about half the size of a boxing glove, so smaller to block with, and something smaller coming at you. Like I said, you can have your hand in the perfect spot, and they can still go right around it and clock you in the back of the ear. So like I said, a lot less room for error.
You know what I liked about the fight? No matter who won or lost, I feel we'll see both of you guys back.
Yeah,
because
I agree
you
with
guys
that.
go out and fight. That's what they look for. The fans look for. Dave has said it a million times. He's not overly concerned with records.
Right.
He's concerned with guys like you and Brian that are willing to go out and listen. We're here to. It's a fight, but it's also entertainment, and you guys satisfy both ends of that.
And I agree, man. You can take anybody from you want to say UFC or whatever. A lot of the champs and the top ranked guys that you always see back, they might have double digit losses, but no one cares. They're like, these guys go after it, they fight hard. Dana White brings them back. He doesn't care about your record. He wants to see some people that go in there and fight. And same idea here, even more so. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Some people might like fights that go the distance, but I think the higher percentage want to see people get knocked out. You know what I mean? And get bloody and get hurt. You know what I mean? Like they want to see people who fight. And I'm like that. When I'm watching a fight, I get bored when they start, going into the final rounds and they're just kind of being defensive, picking each other apart a little bit, but not really committing. You know what I mean? Like you want to see people who try and take each other's heads off.
Is it messed up that that's true?
It's human nature. You know what I mean? We're all a little fucked up. So
yeah. I tell you what, man, like just hearing you talk about that and just kind of getting a feel for kind of your personality. Like I feel like I've said it 1,000 times, man, is like right now, like somebody like yourself, and really, I mean, the entire card, man, like the entire fucking card from Saturday night was just top to bottom was just amazing. Everybody did an amazing job. Every single fight. But like people like that, people like yourself, like this sport, since it is still, I mean, it's still early into its inception, right? It's still
right.
You guys are jumping on at an amazing time because I really feel like, man, I mean, it's already taken off. Like it's already blowing up. But I mean, 2020, they're talking about doing 12, 15 shows, and they're talking about going to more states. I think it's just going to keep growing and growing. Where do you see yourself kind of fitting into that? Because right now, like MMA is oversaturated, boxing is oversaturated, even kickboxing is kind of oversaturated because there's just too many people. There's too many people, and right now, I think that bare knuckle, there's only a couple like big stars, guys kind of taking the light, and I think there's a lot of space. There's a lot of room right now.
Right.
Where do you see yourself kind of fitting in, and maybe like your 3-5 year plan down the road?
I'm not quite sure, how far, how fortunate I'll be to go with it, but what I do think is that you're right. There is good opportunity, and I feel fortunate to have gotten in at a good time. Yeah. And I do believe from the little bit I've talked with and seen David Feldman talk to other people about the fights. He, he's smart. He brings in guys that already are big names, but I've heard him say, and I do believe that he's being genuine, that he doesn't want to just have old stars. He wants to make new stars. You know what I mean? I think he wants to take people like me and Brian and Delaney, Dave Mundell, Gustavo that was on there. A lot of good guys that we may be relatively unknown, but you keep putting on a good fight. I think he can make something big with us if you put in the effort for it. I think he will too.
I like the homegrown star thing because it gives anybody a chance.
Yeah.
To do it. Like you said, oh, our names aren't known. Trust when I tell you, Sunday morning people knew who you were. People who didn't know you on Saturday didn't know who you were on Sunday. But the same thing even goes for your opponent. He didn't win. People know who Brian Maxwell is on Sunday. People know who Delaney is. Like everybody that fights on the card, if you put on a good fight, people know who you are the next day. And I think it's a rare thing that you can, even if you lose, you could still share the limelight.
Absolutely. And I think other fighters and people that watch alike, they do. They'll get, even if you lose, you go out there and you try, people respect that. You know what I mean? I definitely do. I'll see guys who, you may get your butt whooped, but you didn't quit coming until you couldn't come no more, or whatever the case may be. Like, I respect that big time.
Plus, half the people think you're crazy anyway for taking the gloves off. Let's just call it what it is.
Oh,
half the people think you're nuts.
Yeah, even some of my my best friends that we used to fight kickboxing together and stuff like that. He's like, dude, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like that. It's not right. I'm like, you're right. I'm like little off, but I've accepted it. So.
But now you found out that you liked it. You might have not liked it. You don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's one. I have a good number of coaches, but one of them you might have seen, like the old man in my corner there. His name's Bill Slinker. This guy, he's been in martial arts for almost 70 years.
Wow.
When I've talked to him about it, he's like, advice I can give you as an old man, he's like, get rid of your what ifs. Don't not fight because you're like, oh, I might lose or I might not. He's like, go in there and find out. You know what I mean? Like, put it all out there so you don't have any regrets later on. I'm like, I agree with that. That's kind of like the same mindset I've had as a younger guy, but somebody that I know and respect and who's been there, done that, it kind of brings a little more to it. So.
Because you could live with a loss, you can't live with I didn't try.
Not trying it.
That's the difference.
That's
absolutely, man. You never know what could be. So I agree.
That's good advice. Jared, real quick, I'd like to get your thoughts. Not necessarily a call out, but is there anybody maybe you'd like to see yourself matched up with in the future, bare knuckle?
Man, there's honestly nobody off the top of my head. And I don't even know who all is in my weight class right now. I was so used, when I used to fight MMA, I was so used to fighting, like I used to walk around at $160 and I'd fight at 145. You know what I mean? I took some time off and decided to try and be not so skinny anymore. But I'll see these guys fight and I'm like, oh man, Jim Allers and all them, they're awesome. But I was like, they're 40 pounds away from me now. So I don't even know who all is in my class at this time. So I don't have someone in particular, but I just know that the guys are bringing in is nothing but good competition. So whoever it be, well, I'm sure we'll go out and put on a show.
Fair enough, sir. Let's just get ready to wrap this up. But I guess tell people real quick for maybe anybody who saw the show, maybe they didn't see Saturday night. Shame on you if you didn't see it Saturday night. But tell people, maybe just tell people what can they come to expect from you next time you get back in the ring.
More fireworks, man. Every time we'll come hard, and you won't see any quitting us. And I say yes because I do think it's a team sport. Even if you're in there, taking the shots by yourself necessarily, if you don't have a good, team behind you, people to train with, you're gonna lose. But So we'll just bring it every time. Whoever it may be, we'll come in hard, we'll come in fast, and get the job done.
And you had a good dance partner for this one who was willing to oblige you in the same mindset. So
absolutely, man.
It worked out great.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm sure there's no doubt I'll see him back. You know what I mean? Like he went after it too. So hats off to him.
100%. Well, we appreciate your time so much, Mr. Jared Warren. Guys, go check him out on social media. Give a real quick shout out, man. Tell people where they can find you at.
On social media, my just Jared Warren on Facebook, on Instagram. It's JWAR83, JWAR83, And yeah, man, anybody that'd like to follow, I always follow back. I'm happy to see other people's lives going on, so appreciate it.
There you go. Well, we appreciate your time, sir. We look forward to seeing you in the future, and we will be in touch, my friend.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Take care.
My pleasure.
See ya.
All right, guys. That was Mr. Jared Warren.
We could have literally had anybody win or lose off that card.
Well, I
And it
tell you
wouldn't have
what,
mattered.
yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. I think that everybody, the whole card, top to bottom, man, it was such an awesome card. And I get some people might think, oh, well, they're just fucking saying that because they covered the card, or they're
Not true.
But it's not true, because I would just find something else to say in place of that. I just wouldn't say it. But it's just absolutely true. I mean, we enjoyed the whole fucking card, man. Real quick, let's do we're gonna bring in Mr. Live Worldwide. We got Jeff Houston on. Give us 1 second. We'll be right back in about 15 seconds with Mr. Jeff Houston. Hey everybody, don't forget to check out MyBookie Sportsbook and Casino, America's most trusted sportsbook in 2019. You can look at betting lines, place bets, and bare knuckle, and MMA. Don't forget to use our referral code down below for a 50% sign up bonus. That's MyBookie Sportsbook and Casino. Guys, by the way, please go click on that link down below. If you're on Facebook, or if you're on Facebook, I think it's above. Technically, if you're on YouTube, it's down below. Go click on that link and sign up and give us a little bit of money for that. So we appreciate it. It's a Live Worldwide. Jeff Houston, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, guys, it's lovely as always, coming to you from Loudmouth Central here on the Houston Ranch outside of San Antonio. What's going on with Combat Insiders?
Hey man, we're just here, bro. We had a long weekend. As everybody else did, just hustling, and everybody was just working hard, man. The whole crew, and just hustling the whole damn weekend. We didn't sit down. It felt like not once. It's just kind of a blur at this point. But we're here, man, and we're kicking, and we're just I'm still buzzing off the card. Of course, we got 9. I mean, we didn't really have a whole lot of downtime. Now we're jumping right into 9 to Artem Knight 2, the rematch of quite possibly, arguably, the century, the decade, whatever you want to call it, whatever kind of tagline you want to put on.
Modern day bare knuckle. Let's go with that.
There you go, modern day bare knuckle.
I'll go with that.
Let's talk about this card, man. Let's as I said, from top to bottom. Jeff, now let me get your thoughts on this, because I think Nick, we're in the same boat with this. I think it was the best card. Is that fair? This was the best card, top to bottom. Now, with that said, Paulie Artem was obviously the bigger draw because of Paulie, and but I think in terms of competition, in terms of the fights themselves, I think this card was the best card, top to bottom.
I'd say that that's a very fair and safe assumption that BKFC 8 was definitely one of the best cards, if not the best fight card that we've had. We certainly did get raked over the coals by some people when it came to the show presentation, because I know that we did have some audio issues this time out. It can happen to anybody, and a lot of people fail to realize that we're only 8 shows in. Yeah. And this is the time to where we're really finding our stride production-wise. And most promotions really don't start hitting that stride to where there's minimal error until they reach about 15 events or such. In fact, actually, you guys probably came across that Sherdog article, Fractured Fight Facts by Jay Petrie. And, man, I mean, I know that there's such a thing between constructive criticism and negative criticism, but I just got to say that was probably one of the worst written articles regarding a negative criticism about an event. I couldn't understand a damn word of anything that he was reading. And if you look at the comments below on that particular article, everybody's saying, what is this? This is unreadable. I mean, if you're going to be negative about an event, then at least have this in decipherable English.
Right.
Because that's not what I was getting out of that. I mean, trust me, if there's negative criticism, at least let it be legible or decipherable. I mean, that wasn't the case in this. And, far be it from me to knock anybody about how to do their job, but this was just a badly written article about BKFC 8. And there are just so many people in addition to that saying, shame you for putting, Bigfoot Silva back in against Gabriel Gonzaga. I mean, these are people that are obviously fighting past their prime. And and you also have to remember these people who are saying this, most of these people have never laced up a glove, never stepped into the cage, never stepped foot into the ring, have never put their ass on the line in front of thousands of people at home, millions of people watching on TV. And the way that I see it, especially with our main event, I'm sorry to go off on topic, but I just got to get this off my chest because, this is just some bullshit that was going on about all these people who are scolding for putting Antonio Silva back in the ring. What they fail to realize is that this man has earned the right to fight whomever and whenever he damn well wants to. He has done so much for the world of combative sports across the board. When he's ready to hang it up, he's ready to hang it up. He knows that there's risk involved. He knows that there's the possibility of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, punch drunkism and such. They know this. But you know something? If they want to fight, let them fight. How dare you say shame on you for letting him do it? David Feldman didn't twist anybody's arm. They were excited about being part of this, as are so many other athletes that are making the switch, that were veterans in their respected fight fields and are now making the switch over to bare knuckle. It's their decision, people. They're not twisting their arms. They're not making them do anything. But then again, it's David Feldman and BKFC that takes all the, they get all the negative criticism thinking that they are the villains, that they're the evil ones behind this. I'm like, that's not the case at all. These are adults that can make their own damn decisions. So let them make their decision. If they want to fight, let them fight. When they're ready to hang it up, let them hang it up. If there's a bad knockout, guess what? It's the fight world. Bad knockouts happen whether you're 20 or 50. It doesn't. That is a fact right there. Just because you're 50, could it be a little bit more damaging than if you were 20? Well, obviously, of course. But at the same point, they have earned our respect to let them fight as long as they want. And when they want to retire, they'll retire. Until then, leave them the hell alone and let them fight. Let them entertain us. There's no such thing about this age thing. I mean, honestly, as we're progressing in the combat sports world, we're seeing more and more people, not just in bare knuckle, but in boxing and MMA, make the journey into older age. Now, are some of the defeats a little bit more destructive? That's true, but it's their choice.
Right.
Plus, every guy, just to add to that, is medically cleared to fight.
Damn straight.
You have to pass assault of tests. Like they're all cleared to fight. And it's funny you brought it up because one guy, I saw a comment that I don't know, maybe it was a personal thing. He had a real problem with Gonzaga fighting and he kept going and going. And I said, so we'll see you fight him next? Is that, since he's washed up, you're going to fight him next?
I mean, yes. Obviously, if you're saying that this person is washed up, I completely forgot that the person who's having this beef was a world elite class fighter that obviously could take Gonzaga at any time, any place, anywhere, right?
Yeah, if he's a bum, then you should fight him.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Gonzaga damn fucking sure didn't look washed up in there Saturday night. He damn sure didn't. Neither one of them did. Neither one of them did. They damn sure didn't. Correct me if I'm wrong, too. I swear I saw an article that Gonzaga and Bigfoot went through like a heavier round of testing because of their age.
I wouldn't be surprised because
I think I read that somewhere that they even put them through extra testing and they passed flying colors.
And they passed, which is the most important thing. Now, if this was a different country, different countries are able to kind of push things under the rug, just for the sake of profit. But that's not the case with the Florida State Boxing Commission. They put you through a rigorous test just like any other state athletic commission. And what happened in this situation, I don't know why people are, bitching and complaining, because it was an entertaining fight. It wasn't.
Yes,
It wasn't. It wasn't a bad fight. Gonzaga gave one hell of a knockout, and you know something? There was still a smile on Antonio's face, win, lose, or draw. He said that he had a fantastic time with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. What more do you need? I mean, the only gripe that people should have was the fact that we did have audio issues. And you know something? We're taking care of that. That's something that's actually going to be taken care of moving forward in a separate capacity on our production. And it's going to be even better. And, you know, and even in this, you know, there were even people, you know, saying the stupidest thing, like in that same article, you know, they criticized me because I introduced one of the fighters from Tampa, Florida, and I held Tampa way up high because I love to give the hometown guys that little extra on their city because it pumps up the crowd.
The hometown pop.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I understand the value behind the hometown pop. And, you know, you're going to knock that on. You're going to knock that on like, okay. Once again, those who can't do criticize, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's ask right now, how much do you actually care about that comment?
No. See, this is the thing. This rant that I'm going on, a lot of people are going to say, well, obviously, these people who have written these things and saying these things are getting to them. It's not about that. It's this incredible stupidity that they project. And it's the stupidity that gets under my skin more than the things that are actually said. Right. Because, I mean, these are obviously coming from people who have never done. These are, I mean, you know, if it was a fighter and it was an honest look at the fight, and maybe there was some negative criticism behind that, then I can understand a little bit more because he's been there, he's done that, he's read the book, he's seen the movie, he's stepped into the ring, and he knows what it is. So you know something? I'm going to tell you, when it comes to anybody in that position who's doing anything negative that's never stepped foot in the ring, I would rather read an article from a fighter than a regular journalist any day of the week and twice on Sunday, especially when it comes to the negative aspect, because this person doesn't have any scientific input on what's going on in there if they've never done it before.
Facts.
I mean, once again, and the last thing I'm going to do is knock anybody on a media sense and that, but, you know, think about what you're saying, and instead of calling someone washed up, really think about what you're saying there, because it's so easy. It's almost like people actually push for the negative rather than the positive, and seeing that it's just like what you guys said a second ago. These fighters went through rigorous testing through the athletic commission. They were cleared. They were not forced into the squared circle to compete. They went in with arms wide open. They were happy to be a part of this, and they have no regrets moving forward. They had a great time with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships. So what's the issue, people? What's the issue? I mean, just the fact that you see older fighters that, in your opinion, are washed up, and they're not washed up. They're not washed up. They're trying something new, and that should be applauded rather than condemned.
You know what I think this is also a case of too, Jeff, is you remember when MMA first started coming around, because for the longest time, boxing was the king of combat sports. MMA came around, and granted, this was before the internet days, but boxing people just shit all over MMA. Like, oh, this is it's a bloodbath, it's a blood sport, it's dog fighting, it's a cockfighting, blah, blah, blah. And they shit on it, right?
Yep.
And I think now we're kind of seeing the same thing, because with bare knuckle, these people, there's no thought behind their criticism. Like you said, it's just washed up. Like, okay, washed up. What the fuck does that really mean? Like, you're just saying it just to say it. Like, you're saying it to throw like a negative connotation to it. Like you said, these guys aren't washed up. Clearly, they gave a fucking amazing performance. These guys went through camp. These guys made fucking weight. These guys went through all the testing that a 20-year-old athlete, the 50-year-old athlete went through the same testing that the 20-year-old athlete plus some, made it. And these people, like I said, still just want to complain just for the sake of fucking complaining, because bare knuckle is the new kid on the block. And now we have MMA and boxing kind of both turning and be like, well, what is this shit? You know, this isn't like MMA. This isn't like boxing. It's ironic that they're calling the people who were on board with MMA at first. Now they're turning and looking at bare knuckle and be like, well, that's human cockfighting. I'm like, well, wait a fucking minute. Weren't you like getting pissed because boxing was saying this 10 years ago, and all of a sudden, I don't know, man. That's my little rant on that too.
No, and you have absolutely every right to rant. You know, you said something so beautifully. It was just so well articulated, Josh. It's it's, you know, complaining for the sake of complaining. That is the state, unfortunately, that we're in right now. It's so easier for people to throw a negative shot across the bow rather than a positive one. And seeing the positive things that bare knuckle is doing. It's giving people opportunities. It's giving fighters opportunities. It is a new old sport. It's a new old sport that's giving people opportunity. And I don't understand why. And everybody's saying, oh, this is garbage fighting, you know, and such. I mean, it's so easy to say that about something new, especially if you don't understand it, because I'm going to tell you, the biggest uphill battle that bare knuckle has had is this bullshit superficial stigma.
Yeah.
That's really the biggest thing that it is. When people see blood and cuts, we've said it a million times before. Nick, you know this. Josh, you know this. We've said it a million times before. It's this damn superficial stigma that people can't get past about blood and cuts. And yet, these hypocrites will still slow down on the highway at an accident scene to get a little scene of the carnage. People are freaking hypocrites about this stuff, and they're thinking that this isn't going to last. I'm like, who the hell are you to say that?
That's so despicable.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so terrible.
Exactly. You are entitled.
I can't.
This is the way that I see it about that. Number one, you are entitled to your opinion, and I am entitled not to care.
Amen.
Pretty much.
Not to care. And that's the way. And that's the way that I see it going forward. Because I think that bare knuckle is something special. I think it's something incredibly special, and no one else on the planet is packaging it and doing it the way that we are. Nobody.
And the structure is good. There's a rule set. It's sanctioning by. They just really, everything was there before the first show. And like you said, okay, there was an audio issue. The UFC still has audio issues sometimes.
Everybody does. Bellator, UFC 1, you're telling me that no top, you know, I mean, and you can't hold yourself into the same breath of that as of right now because of how new we are. But what we can say is the ground that we've covered in only 8 fights is unprecedented. Almost nobody's made this kind of ground in only 8 fights. And people are talking about us. And the way that I see it, even if they're talking negative, they're still talking. It's just like I said with that article that I was talking about earlier from SureDog. I mean, there is no such thing as bad press, but there is such a thing as bad writing.
There is that.
There's such a thing as bad writing, and that was just a shit article. I mean, if you're going to, like I said before, if you're going to negatively criticize someone, make it so that people can understand, because a lot of this wasn't really even negative. This was just like, it was garbage is what it was. And, you know, I'm going to tell you, maybe he had an off day. I mean, you know, maybe he is not a fan of bare knuckle to begin with. But I think the biggest thing about it is I don't think he understands bare knuckle. I don't think the people who write the negative stuff truly understand what David Feldman has in mind moving forward. Because I got to tell you, I've worked with so many promoters throughout my 17-year career. And the one thing I can say is Dave's got it. He's got it. He has got the formula. The formula is there, and it is a damn good formula that people are wanting to buy. It's just that we need to get all of the pieces together to make the complete puzzle. And there's no way you're going to have a complete puzzle after only 8 fights. It's just not, it's not structurally possible to be completely and totally where you need to be after 8 fights, but we're getting there. And damn it, are we having fun while we're doing it, right, guys?
Yeah, 100%. I think they're well ahead of schedule, though.
Absolutely.
I think they're they're just north of a year, and I think they're probably the 3 or 4 year mark. I think what helped was in the beginning, there was a lot of people that weren't, hell yeah, let's do it. And they weren't like, screw this sport. They were in the middle, like, let me watch the first one, and gave it a shot. And then guess what? There's going to be people that the sport's not for them. They just don't like it. And that's okay. So they go back to the sport. They go back to the sport they like. The rest of the people go this way. I mean, there's sports I don't like.
Yeah.
But I don't go online and rant like, fuck tennis because they, well, look, I don't prefer to watch tennis, but for you tennis,
don't talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. If you like the sport, have at it. I know they have Wimbledon. That's like a big thing. Go watch it. You know,
not only that, Nick, this is the problem that I have with it. It's not necessarily that somebody is voicing their opinion. You know, I'm an American, so the first thing I'm going to say is that you're entitled to it.
Sure.
But the problem that I have with it is the ones who write about it that absolutely do not understand the sport. that do not understand the sport, and this is just absolute dribble. I mean, if you're going to write intelligently about something, even if you don't like it, wouldn't it be a good idea to be researched and do just a little bit on that so that you don't look like an absolute dumbass when you put something out? Because that's what happens. I mean, a lot of these people who are writing the negative stuff about bare knuckle absolutely know nothing about the sport, nothing about what Dave Feldman has gone to bring bare knuckle to the U.S. scene. And that's the only thing that I have an issue with. It's not the negative things that are said. It's the way that they're said. And it's the lack of intelligence that the writer is showing by not doing their due diligence.
I'll tell you what I did, even after all the research. One of the best things I did, and it was a lengthy conversation, and I would do it again, was I reached out to Scott Burt. Tell me about the history. Like, I could look it up on Google, but that guy is an encyclopedia.
He's a fountain. He's a fountain.
And then you start to understand, I mean, it was illegal then, whatever, but you understood it was structured but illegal, for lack of a better word. Like, it wasn't legal, but it was very much had a rule set. And then you learn about the names and how it came up. There's so much cool history about it that it's, even if you hate the sport, it's worth seeing the history.
It's worth taking a look back on it and seeing where it came from, and also realizing that it wasn't the U.S. 100% that was behind the bare knuckle scene. The UK has an enormous hand in the overall bare knuckle. I mean, they were doing it far before the U.S. was, but the way that we brought it to the world in the very limited time that we had illegal bare knuckle fights via John L. Sullivan, we ended up getting more press at the time. And as you know, the only kind of press that was going on was print press. Right. We were able to get it out there so much faster. And look at John L. Sullivan. I mean, he's considered as one of the greatest bare knuckle fighters of all time. And he only had 4 confirmed bare knuckle fights.
What's even more interesting is you see there's people that actually have the original or copies of the news articles.
Mm-hmm.
How about this? Totally illegal fights made the newspaper.
Damn straight.
Totally illegal. Let's just print this shit because it's awesome.
Damn straight. Because it's different. Mm-hmm. And this is different. And we're getting everything together to where we have this beautiful package to give to the world that is Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. And it's just going to get better and better as we move forward. I mean, the card was fantastic. The fighters gave us what they had. We ended up making history in so many ways, especially with my boy Abdiel. Jesus Christ. 1 second knockdown. I do believe that is actually a combat sports world record.
I don't think you could beat it, right? Unless you're
unless you're in the milliseconds, unless you start getting into the milliseconds, knocked down literally at the very, very start, which is, I was waiting for that. And I think a lot of you guys were too, because of the way that they start the fights with towing the line. It was only a matter of time before somebody got knocked down right from the word go. But I was surprised that it happened so quickly.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that to happen maybe a little bit more down the line, but that also shows the game that Abby is bringing. I mean, ever since his defeat in the lightweight tournament, I'm going to tell you, he's turned himself around, and he has become this absolute voracious bare knuckle artist. I mean, he's not just a fighter, he's a bare knuckle artist. And that was a tremendous fight, and hats off to Abby, man. I think he's just going to get better and better with time.
There was a lot of stuff answered and a lot of new questions, I think, from that. Like you said with Abby, I talked to him after the fight and his coach, and he looked like a different fighter, completely different fighter.
Completely.
Super fast. Yeah, like all that happened. Then you got, Jim and Julian went to war, and Jim is
he's just on a different level. That's all there is to it.
I remember him as a jiu-jitsu guy, but now I don't care that he ever did ground game. Like, he's just, insane.
It's hard to think about that Jim now that we know this Jim. It's hard to think about that.
Well, that's what the people need to understand. It's just, that same guy who wrote that article with Sherdog was shitting on Jim, and I'm just like saying, but this is a different guy. This is a different sport. I mean, you're so caught up with the past that you're not seeing the beauty that's taking place right now of this guy who's completely reinvented himself and is now known as pushing the pace knockout artist of BKFC. I'm like, instead of knocking what he did, why not celebrate what he's doing?
He did say in the interview post-fight, he's always been a good striker, but this gave him the opportunity to showcase that 100%. There is no ground game.
How could you shit on Jim Miller? Sorry, go ahead. I just
no. Okay, how could you? You can't. How can you?
I can't even fathom somebody because even if you're, let's just say you're not a bare knuckle fan, let's say you at least appreciate combat sports in general, you have to fucking look at somebody like Jim Miller's and watch his performances, his last 3 fights. How could you shit on that? I just can't even I can't fathom, other than what I said earlier. It just has to be hating for the sake of hating, complaining for the sake of complaining.
Like we said before, complaining for the sake of complaining, and that's exactly what we're seeing, and that's what we're always going to see with those little chat forum marks who actually think that they know something when they're probably masturbating in their mom's basement. I mean, while
typing.
Exactly. While asphyxiating themselves with their belts or some shit like that. I mean, dude, let them go ahead and knock it and everything like that. It just, honestly, it doesn't make me mad. It's comical. It's just like I said, the only thing that, kind of gets under my skin is when it's written unintelligibly.
Right. If you're going to at least,
especially if you're trying to sound intelligent in the process.
Got to have a good presentation or nobody takes it serious.
Well, especially on a forum like SureDog and everything like that. I'm sorry that I keep going back to that. It's just, it was such a badly written article. And, I've read, SureDog articles before, and I've seen them shit on, other people and other promotions doing this and that. But this was just, not only was it unwarranted, I mean, I was like, what show were you watching? Because it sure as hell wasn't the show that I had. I was watching. Not at all.
Here's a question for you. And we just had half of this on earlier, the Reggie Pena Lorenzo Hunt fight, right?
Yeah.
The lead up was great.
It was.
It doesn't get any better. We all collectively seem to agree Lorenzo dominated 1, Reggie dominated 3. The second round was split. Unfortunately, the doctors had to step in and do their job, not by lack of Reggie not wanting to fight. When the doc says you're done, the doc says you're done.
Because he had a golf ball on the side of his head.
Yeah, he had a big one. Do you feel like that's a fight you would see? Like they got to finish it?
Are you kidding? It was unfinished.
They got to settle it.
It was absolutely unfinished, and I think that your analysis of the overall fight from round 1 to the stoppage of the fight, I think that was spot on, man. I mean, I don't always have to agree because I'm not always the one to agree with everybody, but I think that was spot on. I think Lorenzo dominated 1. I think Reggie dominated 2. I think, 3. I think round 2 was almost dead ass even. And it was just such a shame, unfortunately, that hematoma caused it to stop the fight. Unfortunately, these guys also know that that's one of the risks that they run in bare knuckle. We saw the same thing happen in Mexico with Diego Garijo, man. I mean, he had himself a big hematoma, and that's unfortunately that's a risk that they're going to run in this sport. But I absolutely believe it was unfinished, and it was incredibly unfortunate because, I mean, when you win by default, some people will just take the W. But I know for a fact that the Lorenzo Hunt is hungry and wants to do that again because he didn't want to finish that. He didn't want to finish that way. They wanted a clear winner over it all.
They both did. Yeah, you're right. They both did.
Straight. So yes, of course, I can't wait to see that again. I mean, it was good while it lasted, and it was unfortunate, and I want to see the rematch as soon as they're medically able and willing to run it again.
You know what other fight really interests me that I feel like I need to see again?
Mm-hmm.
I need to see Dat Nguyen and Travis.
Oh, that was beautiful. Wasn't what for somebody who took the fight on 4 days' notice? It was beautiful.
I mean, these guys are punching each other in the face and smiling by the 5th round. Yeah. I mean, we all know Dat's boxing he's a world-class boxer. Mm-hmm. So when we got to talk to Travis, he's got the best outlook ever. He's like, yo,
I don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit. I took it on 4 days.
I took it on 4 days. But the amazing thing about it is that we saw something really cool that unfortunately we didn't see with Paulie Malignaggi. We saw a pro boxer come in and not get on his bike.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
got
no,
in
he's
there,
good.
dude. He got in there. He took to bare knuckle like a fish to water, man. I was so impressed. He was calling,
Yeah.
come on, let's go, and everything. You know, I mean, he was getting in there. He was entertaining. You know, he kept the striking at a very, very good pace. You know, I was that anytime that I see a pro boxer that has a decent record, you know, like that win, he was 20-3 as a pro boxer. Anytime that I see that, I'm afraid of them playing the defensive role and getting on their bike. But that didn't happen. That did not happen.
Yeah, he showed up to fight. Good for him.
He did. And so did
But
Travis.
we don't see that aggression in traditional boxing as much anymore.
Well, you do. It's just sporadic,
Right.
unfortunately.
It's some people, but it's few and far between. Yeah.
And
It
Travis
is.
always shows up to fight.
It is. Well,
Yeah.
the thing about it is that Dave also always gets the fight bug, because the one thing that I will say about David Feldman is that he is very addictive in his pre-show warm up. Yeah, I mean, you know, he's out there and he's really getting to these guys in a positive way and saying, you know something, your earning potential, your star potential, it's all in your hands. No pun intended. You know, all I want from you is to get out there and do it. And of course, the critics are going to say, oh, well, you know, this is, you know, a one-way ticket to concussion town, CTE town, or whatever.
Even though there's never been a concussion yet in 8 shows.
Not as of
anyway,
no.
but anyway.
Not as of yet. Yes, that's right. That's right. Which for 8 shows, it's actually pretty damn good. But
I mean, reality, it'll happen. It's just nature of the sport.
It is. It is the nature of the sport. You know what the safest way around boxing is? Don't box.
Well, there's that.
That's just like that. It's like fucking. What's the safest form of sex? Don't have sex.
There is that.
So you know that's the way it is. But what are you trying to tell us? That boxing is dangerous, that bare knuckle boxing is dangerous, that there's an actual risk of permanent long-term damage? Don't you think that every fighter knows that? Don't you think that every fighter that steps into the ring knows that this fight could be their last? And I mean, not just last professionally, but you know, that they could die in the ring conceivably. And that's something that's the gamut that they run. And I think that's and that's why we respect them as much, is because they're taking that risk and we are living vicariously through their risks.
You know, it's crazy. Like you talk about that, right? Like people know the risk. Like nobody's forced anybody. Everybody understands the risk. NFL, it's the fucking it's one of the most dangerous sports there is, right? You very rarely see people giving them shit in terms of like the danger of the sport. Some people do, some people don't.
You want to know why they don't? Because there's pads and helmets. So honestly, psychologically, there's protection.
It's
NASCAR.
It's that stigma. It's that stigma.
You know,
yep. Right.
NASCAR's the same thing. Any fucking driver knows. Granted, it might be few and far between, but fuck, man,
you can die in that so easy. A crash could kill you.
Yeah,
it's just
and very horrifically on top of that.
Yeah, and televised. It's just all
and
bad.
Televised on top of that. That's even. But then again, you know, I mean, this is it, people. And yet the people who are, you know, arguing about that, and the ones that are arguing against that and saying that they shouldn't be doing this, I'm like, first of all, who are you to say that? Who are you to? I mean, don't you guys hate it when people take offense on behalf of someone else?
Right.
That's the worst thing in the world. That pisses me off to no end when somebody takes offense on your behalf and is saying, oh my God, they're hurting themselves, they're killing themselves. How could they put themselves through each other? Dumbasses! They stepped in there willingly.
And they're bleeding and smiling, and they got their hands up.
Smiling. And after the fights, most of these athletes will tell you the cuts heal fast. They don't have as many headaches statistically as they would after a boxing match or an MMA match.
Yeah.
And they're saying that their MRIs after the fights, when they're ready to fight again, are cleaner than they would be in MMA or boxing. And that's what people, you know, like I said, once we get past the stigma, and the most important thing, I think, moving forward, guys, for bare knuckle, we've said this before, and I sound like a broken record, but unfortunately, we're at the beginning, so I'm going to sound like a broken record. We need that across the board medical definitive study analysis between bare knuckle fighting, MMA, boxing, kickboxing, and all combat sports to actually show the people from a medical standpoint which one is actually safer and which one is more recommended, with that risk being there. So, and I think that once we get that, people are going to probably take it a little bit. But then again, even if you have facts in front of there, people still have their beliefs and they still have their values. And even if you have facts staring them straight in the face, they're still going to say stupid shit. So, you know something? I wash my I know I've been bitching and complaining about that. It's just like I said, the only thing that I have an issue with is idiocracy.
There is an article out there that actually does have all the scientific data.
Where can they find that, Nick? Where can they find that?
I'm taking our site because I wrote it, but there is. I did go out and look up the studies because there was studies out there, and on every occasion, it has been cut and dry. The short version is, while bare knuckle boxing is not aesthetically pleasing because you're going to get cut, you're going to bleed.
Yep.
The long-term effects are proven to be in favor of taking the gloves off, and all the reasons are there. I mean, even when I started covering it, I was on the fence, but I didn't open my mouth because I didn't know. It was just in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you read why the studies why they went the way they went, even coming from a medical background, I'm like, wow, I didn't even think of that. But now that somebody did think of it, it totally makes sense. 100% makes sense. And I don't know, man. I'm just happy. I think Josh is the same. Even you, we're all just happy to be in the positions we're in currently with what's going on.
I love it. I love it. It's one of the best things that I've ever represented. It's one of the best organizations that I've represented. And not only that, the way that it's, like I said before, the way that it's packaged, the way it's being presented to the world, the incredible professionals that I am working with. You know, I mean, honestly, we have one of the best production crews in the world, in my opinion. You know, I mean, we've got Sean Wheelock at the microphone, and oh my goodness, this guy could make a broom exciting.
I want him to narrate my life. I told him that. I want him to just talk me through my day.
Smooth, silky tones on the microphone. And then we got Chris Lytle. And dude, Chris is getting better on the microphone every single time. His analysis of these fights is so on point because let's face it, he's 2-0 in the BKFC squared circle as of right now. So I'd listen to him if I were you. And our production crew, Chuck McKean, Brian Rico. I mean, there's just so many people that are on here that are just the best at what they do. We're just unfortunately coming across, little issues here and there, which we're going to iron out and we're going to finish. Now, if this was happening at the level of the UFC where the audio was that bad, then I could understand the critics coming out of the woodwork and saying, you guys have been doing this long enough that you should have a handle on this. Right. Remember, people, 8 shows in. We're going to have everything set the way that we want to. It's just going to take time. But as you know, typical American mindset, no patience whatsoever, and absolutely, no attention span.
100%.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
You are not wrong.
You're not
wrong. That's why
man.
we bring Jeff on. Jeff says everything that we think, but he just says it.
He says it a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, this is just what
it is. A hell of a lot better.
Yeah, this is just what it is.
Well, I'm an announcer. I mean, I have to articulate it. What the fuck do you think I'm doing here, man? Come on.
100%. Well, it looks like we got Jason Knight waiting in the wings here. We're going to take a quick little 20-second break. Looks like we're going to kind of switch some things up here. Nick has to kind of run here for a second. So we bid adieu to Mr. Nick Portella. We appreciate him so much. I appreciate you, Nick.
I appreciate all you guys, man. I'm telling you, this shit started as a hobby, and I'm just happy to be where I am.
All right.
The bare knuckle thing's a family thing. Like, it's more than we see them at events, and that's it. And that's, I think, what makes it better.
All right, now get the heck out of here. No, I'm just kidding.
Jesus God.
We'll talk to you later. We'll be right back in 20 seconds, and we're going to move Jeff Houston over. We're going to bring in Jason Knight.
Jeff Houston's the guy. That's why. I'm comfortable with this.
We'll be right back. Boom, guys, welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, we got Mr. Jeff Houston in the middle right there. We got Mr. Jason Knight. Jason, what's going on, my man?
Not much, man. Just finished up training. Headed back to the house. Gonna go pick up my little boy and then go home.
Brother,
How
so,
you guys doing?
hey,
Good.
we're doing amazing, man. We're still
Good,
buzzing.
brother.
We're still buzzing off of the weekend from BKFC 8. We're buzzed about your fight coming up, the rematch, rematch of the century, arguably rematch of the decade, whatever you want to call it. You versus Artem. Do me a favor. Tell us. I know everybody wanted to see it, but tell us like the behind the scenes. How did this rematch come together?
Man, I told David Feldman that I wanted to fight. Sometime around November. Make sure I wanted to get one more in before the end of the year. I was supposed to fight back in August. Supposed to fight Leonard Garcia, but I wound up having a rib injury. My ribs got all healed up, so I told him I need to fight. I want to fight, and I'm hungry, ready to go, and told him I don't care who it is. I would like it to be Artem, but whoever, it doesn't really matter. And there for a while, he kept telling me, "Yeah, we're gonna get you a fight. We got you a fight. We're gonna get you a fight. Not sure the date yet. Not sure the opponent yet." And I kept at him. About once a week, I asked him, "Hey, am I fighting? Who am I fighting? When is the date? Blah blah blah." Well, finally he messaged me, said, "Yeah, you're for sure fighting November 16th. Not 100% on the opponent yet." I was like, "Okay, sweet. That gives me something to look forward to." Well, then another few days go by, and I was like, "Hey man, do we got the opponents yet?" He said, "Most likely Artem." He said, "Nothing concrete yet, but most likely Artem." And then I was like, "Awesome." Well, then, get to training and stuff, and a couple days go by, and I ask him again, "Hey, man, is Artem for sure? Or is it going to be somebody else? Or, what's going on? I would like to know who I'm fighting." He said, it's for sure going to be Artem, but, you can't release it until we release it." All right, sweet. So I just started busting my ass and trying to make sure I was prepared as I can be, and waited on the announcement.
That was kind of the wasn't that the idea, right? That you were going to face the winner of. I mean, am I wrong? The winner of Paulie and Artem. Like, wasn't that the idea the whole time? Like you were kind of in the wings waiting to face one of them.
Yeah, I mean that's from the go, because as soon as my fight was over, David Feldman got in the ring and he announced that as hard as I fought, I deserved the winner. And that's what he's going to make happen. So of course, that's what I wanted from the go. That's what I wanted the whole time. But the opportunity came up to fight Leonard Garcia, so I was down to do that too. Leonard Garcia, I remember watching him when I was a kid. So I was definitely excited to fight him. But unfortunate things happen, injuries happen. Yeah, that's the very first fight that I've ever had to pull out of in my life, and I think for me it shows a sign of maturity, because I've fought injured plenty of times. My last year I fought with an AC separation, and I think that was a big part of the reason I lost the fight. And I think that it's a smart thing me pulling out with a rib injury, because one wrong punch and I could have lost a fight that I could have easily won.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, man. But do you think that how do I phrase this? Like, is it maybe a blessing in disguise because now you got a chance to heal up, and now you're facing Artem, which I am. I mean, it is what it is. It's the bigger fight. No offense to Leonard Garcia, nothing like that. No disrespect to him, but this is the bigger fight. I'm sure this is the more money fight for you. I don't know, but I mean, do you think it was kind of more of a blessing in disguise?
Uh, Not really, man. Of course, I would have loved to have fought Leonard, and especially after watching Jim Allers take him out so easily. I feel like that's money that I missed out on. But yeah, of course I'm excited to be fighting Artem. And my thing is that if I would have fought back in August, I believe I would have been ready to fight now. Anyways, I believe that I would have had plenty of time for
Okay.
my face to heal up because last time that's all I really had was superficial cuts. I didn't have any kind of brain damage, no broken hands or anything
See,
like that.
see,
So as
see.
soon as my face was healed up, I was ready to go again. So I believe if I would have fought Leonard Garcia, I probably would have sustained a lot less cuts, and I would have been ready to go for November anyways.
What do you think about Jim Ellers? You brought him up. He stepped in to face Leonard Garcia, first round knockout. He just fought this past weekend, Julian Lane, second round. Have you kind of had your eye on this guy? What do you think about him?
Man, I think he's looking really good at one. I fought him in the UFC. That was my second UFC fight, and I beat him by unanimous decision. Or no, I think it might have been a split decision. But anyways, I beat Jim Ellers in the UFC, and that was at 145. Well, since then, he's made a step up to 155, and I don't think he's lost since he moved to 155. And I think that's a good weight class for him. And I would love to fight him. I'm not scared to fight him at all. I don't think that he's going to run through me as quick as he's ran through the rest of these guys. And I'm definitely not going to shy away from that, that power that he's bringing to the table. But he's got to come to my weight class. I'm not going to fight him at 155 at all because I walk around. If I'm 160, it's because I've been sitting around eating cheeseburgers. You know what I'm saying? I usually walk around closer to 155, so that's just not realistic.
Yeah.
He would be coming into the fight at 175, 180. I would go into the fight at like 157. So that's not going to happen.
You know something, Jason, I want to ask you something real quick because earlier on we were talking about all this negative criticism that so many of these journalists who have never, stepped into the ring a day in their lives are talking about all of these fighters that have fought in the UFC, that have fought professional boxing, and now they're quote unquote, has-beens, wannabes past their prime and everything. You fought on the top level and now you've made the transition over to bare knuckle. Let me ask you something, man. Do you kind of feel, in a sense, kind of born again as a fighter because this is something so new and so monumentally different from MMA? I mean, do you feel like a different fighter than you did when you were fighting at the UFC or MMA?
Honestly, man, I just think that the statement about has-beens is ridiculous. People that's past their prime, that's pretty ridiculous because I promise you, if I get ready to go back to MMA and I set my heart on it and I'm excited about fighting MMA, then I will go back to the UFC whenever I get ready. All I gotta do is go fight a couple fights, get a couple wins under my belt. Yeah. And I promise you, I know that I can still do that. I've still got awesome jiu-jitsu. My wrestling's not that bad. I can make it in the MMA scene if I get ready to. The reason that I'm not in the UFC anymore is because I fell out of love with the sport. It was so saturated. You got wrestlers that take you down the line that they make the fight boring, and the judges allow it to happen. BKFC, it's all action all the time. You gotta fight me. You can't come in there and point your way through it. And if you try to point fight me, I'm gonna turn it into a dog fight. And you gotta survive.
Yeah.
If you're gonna outpoint me, you better be ready to make me miss and make me pay. And I think it's gonna be a whole lot easier said than done. So I really think that the reason I like BKFC so much is something again. I get gets boiling.
Love it.
Fighting. In the UFC, my blood didn't boil anymore. I wasn't super excited. I wasn't as hungry as I once was.
Yeah.
With bare knuckle, I've got that hunger. I've got that fire inside of me, and I'm ready to go.
Just to which I love that. I love that answer.
Poetry.
By the way.
Poetry, brother.
I love
poetry. I love it.
I'd like to follow up just kind of what you were touching on with Jim Ellers. am I correct in assuming, just from what I've heard, so Jim is under the impression that he's getting the winner of you and Artem. Is that your understanding too? Obviously at 145, but weight class aside, like is that the understanding that you have as well?
I mean, I don't know. They haven't talked to me about it, but I welcome that with open arms. If he can make it down to 145, step on them scales. That if he makes 146, you got the pound allowance or whatever. He makes that weight, I'm down. I am. I'll fight him. I'll fight anybody that steps in there at 146. I don't care. It's just another man to me, and I beat him in the UFC, which of course, we had the kicks and takedowns and all that stuff, but Jim's tough. He's going to hit hard, but it's not going to be the first time that he's hit me hard. I've took his best shots. He's took my best shots, and I believe I can do it again.
What's going to be different this time in the rematch? Because obviously, with Artem, obviously the first one was a 5-round war, and a lot of people, depending on who you ask, had you winning it, had Artem win it. Like it was very split, depending on who you ask. And I guess what are you going to do differently for this fight?
Man, honestly, my biggest mistakes in that fight, I didn't keep my feet under me. I got flat-footed entirely too much, and I was trying to knock him out with one punch. I thought that the same as Artem. I think we both thought that we were going to close the show with that big punch. We was going to land just the perfect punch, and the guy wasn't going to get back up. And I think that's the biggest mistake we made was underestimating each other. I'm not going to underestimate. I know it's not going to be easy to get him out of there, so I'm gonna keep my feet planted, make sure that I don't get flat-footed, try to keep my hands up a little bit more, so that way I sustain a little less damage.
Yeah.
Because I cut really, really easy.
Yeah.
My skin is paper thin, my face is really bony, so I'm gonna cut, I'm gonna bleed. But if I can keep my hands up a little bit more and minimize a few of those cuts, then maybe the judges, won't sit there and count it as, oh, well, he got so much damage done, because you got some dumbass judges who are going off of, oh man, he got cut, he got more damage. That doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
If you look back and you see that I've gotten cut in every UFC fight that I had, I'm gonna get cut more. Who has the facial structure that's gonna take more damage?
Exactly.
So, you know what I'm saying? If you look at damage and score off of damage, then you're just a retard. It's foolish. And hopefully, we got some judges in there this time that know that Jason Knight is gonna be cut within the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And probably just gonna sustain a bunch of cuts, but. Hopefully I can keep my hands up and, maybe not take as many cuts. So that way, if I do have judges that score based on damage, I won't be taking as much damage,
And you're absolutely right. And you're absolutely right. I mean, look at the fight between Christine Faria and Helen Peralta. Look at Helen.
You're saying right now.
I was just saying, look at the fight between Christine Faria and Helen Peralta. Helen Peralta took so much more damage on that, and she ended up getting the W. I mean, it's really all dependent. It's like you said, it's your facial structure that really kind of determines on what kind of damage that you're going to be taking throughout the fight. I mean, she was
I can't hear you.
Oh man, I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to get up there.
Can you hear me, Jason? No. Okay.
I can't hear a word you're saying. I'm in a bad service area.
It's all right.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
That's all right. That's all right.
I don't know what the hell.
We're good. Just keep talking. Keep
talking, brother.
Keep talking. No, we're good. No, but guys, real quick, we're just gonna give Jason a couple seconds here. It's all right. It's all right.
A few minutes and I'll call back.
Okay. All right. No problem. Yeah. We'll just give Jason a couple seconds here. Let him kind of get his service back. He's out there in the country.
Guys.
So.
Hey, nothing.
I live in the country.
You're good, man. You're good, homie. You're good. Just give him a couple seconds. Let him get some bars of service back.
Yep.
But we'll bring him back. I tell you what, man. Jason Knight again, like he's kind of a prime example of what we were talking about. Like all that was superficial damage from the first fight, right?
Yep.
Both of them, they both had a lot of nasty cuts. Did it look bad? Yeah, okay, but it really wasn't bad. It was just superficial on the surface cuts, and within. I remember I saw a picture of Artem like literally like 2 weeks later, and he was like 90% healed, like
And Jason,
fucking Superman.
And Jason even sooner than then.
Yeah.
Honestly, dude, he was looking just fine. He was looking just fine. Once again, people have to realize that it's really more about the long-term damage, which you're going to see a lot more of in boxing and MMA, and especially MMA, because, I mean, you're throwing kicks. I mean, the old saying, punch a
Here he is.
basketball, kick a basketball, and see which ones goes further. I mean, and that's what you're going to see you're going to see that all the time. And, even Stitch, I mean, if you should be taking anybody's word on when it comes to cuts and safety, I think Stitch is the first and foremost expert in
Bring
that
him back in.
department. Uh-oh.
Can you hear us, Jason? Can you hear us all right?
Yeah, he's still having technical difficulties on his end.
Can you hear me, Jason? No.
Oh,
all right.
lost-
All right.
Look,
It's all right.
I'm
all
gonna
right.
tell you, he's the kid, man. He's got it. He's got it down. He'll go back, no problem. But yeah, getting back to what I was saying, man, it's just all that superficial stuff that once people get past and they actually see from the medical viewpoint that this is so much better for the fighter. And if you're gonna go ahead and take offense for a fighter, dude, take offense for a fighter on a much more dangerous sport than bare knuckle boxing, because these guys, and like I was saying before, Stitch was saying, I mean, I've worked more when it comes to cut prep in BKFC than anywhere else that I've ever worked in my entire life. And he's only been doing this 30 plus years or longer. And for him to say that, I mean, that's saying something. But at the same point, he's saying, but you know what? They're smaller cuts.
Yeah.
Than you would see in boxing or MMA. I mean, you're not seeing any of those Grand Canyon gashes like Tyson Fury had in his last outing.
Yeah, that was nasty.
Dude,
yeah.
you could see
like right about there.
Right along the eye.
Yeah.
You could see, dude, you could see muscle tissue in that. I am amazed that they didn't stop the fight. I'm amazed.
That was a lot closer of a fight than a lot of people expected. I think even more than he expected.
He didn't expect that kind of fight out of absolutely, and we were all just amazed. But Tyson Fury's just on another level. He's one of those fighters who's just that damn good. But the funny thing is that he's so comical that he's the kind of guy who can step foot on the scale during weigh-ins and have this fucking pregnant beer belly and still go out there and kick some ass, man. I mean, he's not your atypical heavyweight. And that's what we're in the era of as of right now. All this atypical shit that people are holding up on a pedestal, this is the way that the athlete of the athlete of the day is supposed to look like. In fact, honestly, the greatest rap that I've ever heard from an athlete talking about his physicality or his lack of shredded physicality was always Dusty Rhodes, man. I know that that's a wrestling metaphor, but he said, I know that I don't look like the athlete of the day is supposed to look like. My belly's just a little big. My honey's just a little big. But, brother, I am bad, and they know I'm bad. And that's, dude, and that's the era that we're in, man.
Hey, it's funny you mention that because that's a very good example, right? Is like there's a difference between being in shape and then ring shape, right? Damn straight. Dusty wasn't in shape, but let me tell you what, his ring shape was fucking. He could go hours.
Easy. He can go an hour without sweating hard.
Easy.
He could go stride for stride with the greatest cardiovascular talent in the history of professional wrestling, Ric Flair. And as you know, Ric Flair wasn't a beacon of physical perfection either. Yeah. But both of these guys had cardiovascular conditioning that was ungodly for their physical shape. It was ungodly. So, and that's the same shit that happened when Andy Ruiz stepped in. They're like, oh my God, they are feeding poor Andy. They're feeding Andy Ruiz to Anthony Joshua. And all these people are neglecting to see that Andy Ruiz has a very decent record.
Yeah.
And he also has a very high knockout percentage on top of that. So I'm like, Quit the fucking judging the book by his cover. It's like people always get on my ass because I've got a fucking belly and everything like that. Most ring announcers are usually thin and everything. You know, they're like the Bruce Buffers, the Jimmy Lennon Juniors, and the Michael Buffers, who are just, you know, they're not like muscular, but they're, you know, thin and in shape. I'm like, people, I'm a South Texan and I like to eat, okay? I'm not fat, but I'm not thin. I'm right in between. I got a dad bod and I got a spare tire, and I'm not ashamed to it. Do I have to put on the Spanx in order to maybe fit a little bit more into the tux? I'll be the first to admit it. Yes. Yes. But you know what? I don't give a shit, man. This is who I am, for better or for worse. I'm sorry I'm not this beacon of perfect physical conditioning that everybody expects you to be. But you know something? I'm not here to live up to anyone else's expectations other than my own. I like to eat. I'm going to wear my fucking Spanx. And if I'm a little tight in my tuxedo, man, you shouldn't be concentrating on that. If you're watching this, you should be concentrating on the fucking fight.
Jeff, I can't argue with a single point you just made.
You
Not one
can't.
single one.
You
Not a single
can't.
one.
You can't.
Guys, I guess we're Jason Knight, he probably was just in the country. He got caught up. We'll catch up with him again. We'll have him on again. And man, I tell you what, just to reiterate, man, I'm still buzzing from this past weekend. Just amazing show. I know I've said it probably at least a dozen times during this show, but just still buzzing. Amazing show. I can't wait for number 9. I hope we're gonna be there live. I mean, I know you are, but I hope we're still working out some stuff. Hopefully, we're working out some sponsor details. So sponsors.
You know something? Don't put that up. We're live anyway. So what's the point, man?
Oh no, I do it like it's like
do it like
right.
this.
It's
Shout
like
it from the
sarcasm. It's just me being like.
I get it. I get it, Josh. I'm just messing with you.
I know. Well, hold on. Maybe we can finish up. Jason Knight looks like he's getting back on here. Hold on.
Cool. Let's see if we can get it back on.
We'll wrap up. Jason, are we there, buddy?
There he is.
All right, man. I can hear you, and hopefully I keep service long enough to wrap this up.
Well, no, yeah, good. I was gonna say I've got one last question before we lose you again. We'll kind of wrap it up, and I guess I'll just kind of wrap it up with this: is with the hype that the first fight, the first Artem fight, all the fight of the centuries and fight of the decades and all the accolades that it's gotten now. Is it any added pressure on you guys? And maybe I wish Artem was here too, because I'd ask him the same thing. Is it any added pressure on you to live up to that fight? Because a lot of people are going to have a lot of expectations going into it. Is there any added pressure on you to, to live up to that? Or is it like, fuck that, I'm focused on me and winning the fight and that's it?
The second one for sure. I would love to go out there and excite the fans, but I promise you, it doesn't add any pressure to me whatsoever. I'm going in with the same mindset as I did last time. I'm here to win this fight, and if I have to go through bloody hell to win it, that's what I'm gonna do. If I have to get cut up and go through a war where we knock each other down over and over again, that's perfectly fine with me. I'm not going to fight any less hard, and I know that Artem's not either, because it's just not in our blood. That's not how we were raised. That's not how we were bred. We were bred for something greater. We were made this way. That's all I can think of. We're going to come out and we're going to fight with everything we got in us. There's not going to be anything that's not left on the table. It's all going to be left right there in the middle of that ring. And if people aren't excited about it, then I'm sorry, but I'm going out here and I'm doing my best to put this guy away, and I know he's going to do the same. And, it's no added pressure whatsoever, because, the goal is always the same as it was the first time, get my hand raised.
Yeah.
And, this time is to, make sure that it doesn't go to the judges. That's the plan. I'm gonna make sure that if it does go to the judges, it's gonna be a decisive win. That's the reason that it didn't go in my favor last time. For one, I let it go to the judges, and for two, I didn't get started early enough to make sure that I stayed ahead the whole time. I feel like, I feel like if I would have made it a clear decision, then they could have never robbed me. I let it be too close, and I'm going to try to make sure this time that it's not that close.
All right, brother. Well, I love it, man. I couldn't have said it any better myself, man. And I tell you what, we're looking forward to it. I cannot fucking wait for the rematch, man. You and Artem, and it's going to be a huge show. And man, we appreciate your time so much. It was our absolute pleasure, my friend. And we'll be in touch, and hopefully maybe we'll have you on again soon. Maybe right before the fight or something. We'll work something out. But Mr. Jason Knight, man, you go ahead and do your thing. I know you're out in the country, but like I said, we appreciate your time, man. I guess that's going to wrap it up for us, guys. For Jason Knight, for Mr. Lavero by Jeff Houston, I am Joshua Furs. We are Combat Insiders, and that's all
Yes,
we got.
sir. Thank y'all so much, and God bless, man. I give all the glory to God. He made this happen. He gave me this opportunity just like he did the first opportunity. He put me on this platform, and I'm gonna do every bit of my every bit of my power. I'm gonna make sure that I glorify Him. So, we're gonna go out here and try to get this win and talk about how God gave it to me.
There you go, brother. Amen. There you go,
All right,
brother.
man. Y'all have a good one.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You too, brother.
All right, let's close this out. Boom, guys, it was a good one. Like I said, check out combatinsiders.com, new and improved. Follow us, Combat Insiders, everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, Reddit. We're even on Reddit. We don't mess with the Reddit a whole lot, but we're there. We're there.
But hey, hold on. You're talking about the greatness of Combat Insiders. Don't forget to let the fight fans know about the one and only Knucklepedia. On top of that, definitely let them know that if you want to find
Tell
out
us about that, Jeff.
Oh my goodness, it is such an amazing outlet for those of you who are looking to find out more about the sport of bare knuckle fighting, about the fighters themselves, and about the upcoming fights. Oh man, there's just the Knucklepedia via Combat Insiders, man. I think that's awesome that you guys were able to dedicate that and to get that started. Look at that. I mean, Knucklepedia, man. There may be Wikipedia where you can find information, but when it's time to knuckle up, there's only two places that you go when it's time to knuckle up. Bareknuckle.tv and Knucklepedia.
100%, guys. We're going to close it out with that. Go check it out, Knucklepedia. I'm going to trust what my man says down there, Mr. Jeff Houston. We appreciate it so much. And guys, please take care, and we will see you same bat channel, same bat time. Peace out.